Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I think Morty's right. Some heat on Monday, and then it'll be done. Let's go to John McMullen, who joins us right now in the post-game show. Johnny Mac, are you out there, brother? The Eagles lose today, 24 to
To
17.
the worst quarterback in NFL history.
Josh Johnson, yeah, my lawsuit is done. Josh Johnson won a football game. I lost it already.
Yeah, he won a football game. Um, Boy, I'll tell you, I think the secondary is really the culprits. I mean, six penalties. And I mean, Washington moved the ball a little bit better than I thought they would, but I think the penalty yardage was 123 yards, and six of them were on the secondary interferences, holding, first down. You know, they gave him the ball at the 1 yard line. I joked the secondary was trying to let the Commanders in the end zone. The front seven was trying to keep them out because they were stuffing them and stuffing them and stuffing them. And then they have another penalty, and it's first and goal again. So, really poor performance by Jacorian Bennett had three. Keely Ringo had two. Mac McWilliams had a big one. Really poor performance by those young guys. If you think about it, the front was pretty good. I mean, Alex Hunt played a heck of a lot more than I thought he would, and he has the interception. Dude's got three interceptions. He looks like his safety out there. He looks like he's back at Cornell. He's the first Eagles player to have an interception, a fumble recovery in the same game since T.J. Edwards in 2021. I thought he played great. Um, Thought Moro Jomo did a nice job. He played quite a bit, but that secondary I think really hurt. And then this is like these Week 18 games. Tanner plays pretty good early, and then it starts to waver because you got to get repetitive, and it becomes too predictable. Um, and didn't play well in the second half. Plus, they had a lot of moving parts. Matt Pryor started the game at right tackle, then he was playing right guard, and then he had to move to left guard when Brett Toth got a concussion. So, I mean, but I know that I heard you guys talking about Nick. Look, look, you don't like the results. The decision he made was about the health of the players. Um, if the same thing happens, and if you go back to 2023 and you beat Washington because you play your starters, but you lose A.J. Brown, you lose Reed Blankenship, just to use those two guys because they got hurt back in 2023. And then all of a sudden you got to go into playoffs and you're in a deep, um, you got deep issues because of injuries. Then I don't think you like that result. So yeah, Detroit. And by the way, it highlights why you don't think they could go to Chicago in round two and beat the Bears. I mean, Green Bay was better than the Bears until Jordan Love went down. The Detroit Lions are the fourth place team. They were better than the Bears. A couple weeks ago, Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy beat them in the final minute, but then they gave up a 65-yard kickoff return. That team stinks. The only team they played well against was the Eagles. That team stinks.
You want to hear this too, John? Every single team in the NFC North was above 500 this year too, just to
Yes.
show you about that
Yes.
division. So, John, I thought something was peculiar, and you helped me out on this. So, you and I talked about Devontae Smith being played in this ball game, and they made sure that he got his 45 yards or whatever it was. Let me ask you this here, just in hindsight here. So, like, when you knew that the Bears had lost that football game, do you think there was any shot of them trying to put him back in to try to maybe win that ball game to get to 2-0? Or do you believe what Nick said in the presser today? I think it came down to this. I don't care if it's Green Bay or San Fran. To me, they're the same team. So they're not really caring about the 2 or 3 seed. But the number one priority in that ball game was them getting a 1K. Wasn't them winning the game because they didn't play their starters.
Well, I don't think the number one priority. I think when again, they had body issues at wide receiver. So basically, the guys who played the majority of the game were Jahan Dotson, Darius Cooper, and Britton Covey. And if you don't play one of the two, so it came down to AJ or Devontae. And obviously, AJ's got, more cachet from
But
that
Devontae
standpoint.
never went back in after that.
No, he left as soon as at the end of the first quarter, as soon as he got 1,000,
Yeah.
he left. That was the only goal to get him to 1,000. But no, they were never, it was very cold. You don't shut somebody down and they're sitting there in the cold and then all of a sudden ramp them up and put them back in there and say, because that's how you get soft tissue injuries and things like that. So there were a couple guys, Tyler Steen, when Brett Toth had to have a concussion, had a concussion. They had to put him back in the game because they had nobody else. Nick had mentioned that, Brandon Johnson left with an ankle injury. If they had another injury at safety, Reed Blankenship would have had to come into the game because he was dressed, but only in case of emergency. So Devontae would have came back in the game, but only in case of emergency.
But John, I want to push back on one thing here. If the number one priority in Nick Sirianni's post game today was that he was concerned about injury, why play Devontae?
Well, I agree. I don't care. I don't give two shits about milestones. Unfortunately, players think differently. I talked about this pregame. You're trying, in that situation, you're trying, while he's out there, you're trying to get him to 1,000. That's it. I mean, I don't think it's that much deeper than that. And when he got to 1,000, they said, let's get him the heck out. And they were obviously trying to do it early and often to get him out as quickly as humanly possible. So I don't think it was about more than that. But I get it. I mean, look, people get so upset when they lose, and then they go back, well, you didn't let Saquon Barkley. I got those people already. You didn't let Saquon Barkley get the all-time rushing record. Like there was a guarantee he was going to get 100 yards or whatever he needed. Most likely he would have, considering the year he had him. But, when you have 53 players, again, it's not preseason where you have 90 players. Certain guys had to play. You saw it with Alex Hunt. You saw it with Moro Juma. You saw it with Jordan Davis. You saw it with Tyler Steen. Certain guys had to play. It usually rests on the younger players. Now, if I think Devontae would have went up to him and said, I don't want to play, he wouldn't have played. But that's not his nature either. And they tried to get him out as quickly as possible.
John, would you make a Tanner McKee's performance? I know you talked about it, but he was the hot name coming in. John, I think people are being unfair to Tanner. I said, if you told me Jalen Hurts wouldn't have wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, tight end 1, running back 1, starting left tackle, starting right tackle, and there's all 5 of his starting offensive linemen, I'd have said, yeah, it probably won't be Jalen Hurts' best game of the year. That's for sure. How'd you make a Tanner McKee today, John?
So are you telling me people are turning on Tanner?
Oh, they've turned on him, John. They've turned on him.
Yeah, I think it was very similar to last year. He was very good early and very bad late. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think, early on he was throwing on time. He was throwing confidently. Devontae was out there and he was effective. And then as the game went on, some of the guys leave, and most notably Devontae, but also offensive linemen. Remember, Tyler left, and then all of a sudden you got to kick Matt Pryor inside. Cameron Moses never played an NFL snap, is in a right tackle. You saw some of the issues they had with pass protection in the second half, so it got worse later in the game. But I do think if you want to blame the Eagles for anything, here's where I blame them. They won't admit it, but there's in breaking news, the Falcons are firing Raheem Morris. By the way, this is just happening.
There's the first one to go.
But yeah. By the way, if they would have played Kirk Cousins, they would have won the NFC South.
I heard you, John. You were right.
Yeah. But anyway, I digress. What I blame the Eagles for is hubris. They thought they were going to win this game. And they probably should have. But that's how cocky they are, with Tanner McKee and Tank Bigsby, like we're going to beat an NFL team. And look, yeah, if there's a big mistake by Tanner, the interception in the red zone, and they didn't take advantage. They've been obviously the one thing on offense they've done well all year is be very, very good in the red zone, and they weren't that today. They were a little bit, too dismissive, I would think, of the Washington Commanders. But, how could you not be with Josh Johnson? I was dismissive of them too. But, that's not my job. Their job is to not be dismissive and to take everybody seriously. And I'm not sure they took this team that
How
seriously.
about this, John? Do you think that one guy that was pretty impressive offensively, I thought who had a good game was Tank Bigsby. I mean, 16 carries, 70-plus yards. I mean, had a touchdown. I mean, if you're struggling a little bit in the second half in continuity and with a lot of new players up front, I mean, how do you think Kevin Patullo handled the offense with the backups?
Well, I think, the same thing. It was good early, it was bad late. And that has to do, look, I never waver. It's players first. When they play well, it's players first. When they play poorly, it's players first. It's really difficult when you can't pass protect to play offense. And they're trying to come back and they're trying to throw the ball late. They can't pass protect. Plus, you don't have Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith turns into, then Jahan Dotson becomes your wide receiver one, and everybody gets bumped up. Then a nice little screen to Britton Covey there. It was nice to get a manufactured touch. I think Britton should be involved in this offense 2 or 3 plays a game. Not a lot, but just that. Zander brought that up a couple weeks ago. Get Devontae Smith running a jet sweep. He can't run a jet sweep. He's not that type of player. Britton's a manufactured touch type of guy. He can run the orbit motions. He can get him out in that screen. And he got 9, 10 yards, whatever he got. I thought that was positive. I thought Darius Cooper showed some of his ability. You saw more in-breaking routes, more dig routes. You saw the ball early in the game, the ball coming out on time. That Grant Calcaterra touchdown, that's a throw that Jalen Hurts doesn't make, if you want to be fair to Tanner McKee. So there was some good stuff. And I can't believe now I got to defend Tanner McKee. I thought they'd be over the moon. I thought they'd be over the moon with Tanner McKee.
John, your early thoughts, brother, on the Eagles' first-round matchup. It's going to be the 49ers in Philadelphia. I don't know if you've heard what day. I'm seeing online maybe Saturday night. That feels weird to me. But
I hope to God it's not Saturday.
No doubt.
That's what they're saying. I don't know if that's true or not. But do we
Well,
know?
I was thinking. I was thinking. I'm looking at Saturday night or Sunday, the 4:25. I think is the most likely 2 options.
Yeah, me too.
That'll be made official later tonight after the Pittsburgh.
If it's Saturday, it's going to be a
Pittsburgh
monsoon in Philly.
Oh, really? Oh, great.
That's what it says right now. I mean, the weather could change.
Another game. Another weather game. I don't. I think they're. I know most people think Green Bay, because of the way they finished, is the worst team in the playoffs. I don't think they are. I think San Francisco is. So I'm not worried at all about this first round matchup. The second round, then, if you have to go to Chicago, even though the Eagles are the better team, you never like going on the road if you don't have to. I just think San Francisco is a product of their schedule. Now, the team that showed up against Seattle, no Trent Williams, no Ricky Pearsall, Kyle Shanahan intimated that they would have been able to play if it were a Sunday game. That to me screams of sour grapes. But the point is they'll be back for this game, so they should be better than the team that you saw against Seattle. But this is not the Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, 49ers. Christian McCaffrey's one. Anybody who knows me, I love Christian McCaffrey. He's unbelievable.
Kittle too, John.
Yeah, George Kittle as well, and Trent Williams is a Hall of Famer. They got good players, but you get Brock Purdy off his spots, and you can do some things, and that's offense. I haven't even gotten to their defense. Their defense is an abject disaster without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa. They never sack the quarterback. They never get pressure on the quarterback. It's amazing they're in the position they're in. Um, I love this matchup for the Eagles.
Hey, John, you think they're disappointed that they had to play Ojomo and Carter that much? I can't think that they thought that they were going to go into a game where they were playing them. They played a ton of snaps in that game because they had no rotation. When that guy, Ty Robinson, that guy needed an oxygen mask by the middle of the third quarter. I mean, he didn't really – I mean, John, I thought he was going to faint out there. He was waving to come out. I was like, holy cow.
Well, I have to, he did play more than I thought he would. So did Jalix. I think Jalix is like a NBA player. He could play 48 minutes and then go play another 48 minutes. So I don't worry about him other than from an injury standpoint, but he seems to have come out of it fine. Those guys played a little bit more than I thought they would. That's probably Vic. If he's got him, he's going to use him. And maybe they should have, sat Vic down and said, look, give these guys a little bit more. But, if they didn't play as much as they did, they're probably not as close as they were in this game.
That's right.
To be honest. So, because the secondary was really bad. They didn't play anybody in the secondary. They didn't even play Adoree Jackson. So forget about Quinion and Cooper or Reed, and Marcus Epps had a concussion. They didn't play anybody in the secondary. And that's what really hurt them with Bennett and Ringo. And then Brandon Johnson got hurt. All of a sudden, Mac McWilliams is on the field. So it was tough from that standpoint. And mainly the penalties more than anything else, as I said.
Oh, my God. John, they must have had 150 yards of penalties today.
Yeah, they had six on the DBs. Jacorian
9
had
for
3.
123.
Yeah, 9 for 1. But 6 were on the corners. 3 on Bennett. 3 on Bennett, 2 on Ringo, and 1 for Mac McWilliams. And they were some big ones.
I thought
put him at the
Carter
1.
had a penalty too, didn't he?
Who?
I thought Carter had a penalty, or that might have been Jacorian. I thought he had a penalty early on a hold early in the game.
I do not believe he did, but I could have missed it. There's 3 penalties. I know there were 6 that I know of from the secondary, and that was 3 on Bennett, 2 on Ringo, and 1 on Mac McWilliams.
Hey, John, the one play I do have to rip Ringo bad on, though, is in the end zone. I mean,
he's
Josh
panicked.
Thompson turned him around in the end zone.
He, at this stage of his career, the Eagles talked a lot about this with Drew Makuba when he was coming out, and said what they liked about him was that he was very comfortable in space. He didn't panic. If you're a corner in this league, some corners panic when they're one-on-one with these great receivers in open space, and they just start grabbing and clutching, and they panic. And Kaylee Ringo's still doing that in year 3.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah. Now,
it's time.
Well, he's such a good special teams player. He made it great. So but you have to limit him to that role. He's a special teamer.
Yep.
That's all he is at this point.
John, how do you think Kevin Patullo did today? John, I'm losing that. I know you don't like criticizing the guy. I don't think he's that good, John. I don't think he's got a good feel for the game. I don't think he's learning on the job as quickly as he needs to, inheriting an offense like this with a team like this. I just generally I know it's not all him. He's got a completely different style of quarterback today. They throw the ball 40 times. There's still no feel for the game, John. He's got some head-scratching calls at all sorts of moments. How do you evaluate
anyway, where are the head-scratching calls? I'm just curious.
It's 17-17. He gets the ball back. Tank Bigsby's averaging 6 yards a carry, and he goes 3 straight pass plays. I mean, he doesn't have a feel for the game, John.
Well, Tank was at 4.7. Tank had a decent game. His longest run was 13 yards. He had a big he had a big pass play. Yeah, he had a 31-yard pass play. He caught the ball, made somebody miss. They spread the football around to 8 different receivers, which is new.
Yeah.
But I think that has more to do with the quarterback, to be honest. But it tells you, you know, there are these options are built into the offense that you can move off the number one process to progression to number two to number three, and then dump it off to Tank Bixby, who might get 31 yards. These things exist in the offense. My guess is everybody was pretty happy in the first quarter. The KP haters looking at how good, and then my guess is when the results turned negative, they were very, very poor against KP. It's funny. The Eagles, and by the way, I had no idea till the Eagles obviously bragged about this. There are 5 teams in the history of football, 5 teams in the history of football with 2,000-yard receivers and a tight end that had 10 or more touchdowns. 5 teams in the history of the freaking NFL have accomplished that.
Stats, though, John. You can do that with any stat in football. Oh, let me pull this stat from here and this stat from here.
I wonder how many of those teams win.
I mean, what kind of rhythm is there to that, John? Over 2 receivers.
Funny. By the way, funny you bring that up. So, 3 of the other 4 teams were great Denver Broncos teams. 3 of the 5 are Broncos teams with
Peyton Manning?
And the other one, 1999, with the Carolina Panthers team that went to the Super Bowl. So, it's rare, to my point. EPA per play, again, I bring up the Eagles are 12th in the league. These people are nuts. They think they have the worst offense in the history of the world. It's just not true. By every measurable, and it's just not true. And if they could run the football, if they could actually run the football like they could run the football last year, they'd be one of the best offenses ever.
Well, they'd look
but
like
they can't run the football.
They'd look
they
like
can't run the football.
They look like last year. John, what do you make of this? What do you make of this matchup this coming weekend? Vic versus Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh versus KP.
Well, it's funny because, Vic is probably the guy on defense and Kyle's the guy on offense. And I think that's, A, it should be the high-profile matchup. And B, nothing against Robert Saleh. He just doesn't have the bullets, man. So it's not about –
John, they had a decent outing versus the Niners or versus the Seahawks, man. Only gave up 13 points. They were 3 for 3 in the red zone and getting stops. I mean, I know they gave up some yards, but I thought that was.
I think he's a pretty good coach.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying he's a bad coach. They just don't. They don't have the horses without Fred and Nick Bosa. They just
John,
don't.
they get killed on the edges. They get killed on the edges bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's just look, you can't. Vic couldn't. If he had those horses, I'd be saying the same thing. You change players. And you give Saleh the Eagles' defensive players, he's going to have a better defense than Vic's going to have. Now, he won't have as good a defense as Vic has with the Eagles, but he's going to have a better defense than Vic would have with what he's got to throw out there. So, again, players first. They just don't have the horses on defense.
Hey, wait a minute. They do have Bryce Huff. Hang on.
Well, there we go.
Well, John, I don't think the matchup is their defense versus our offense, to be frank. I think the matchup, as you already talked about, is Kyle versus Vic. Who's got the advantage there, John?
Well, Vic has the better group, so, Vic has the advantage.
Players.
He's got the better group. So, I mean, if this was, the 49ers with McCaffrey and Kittle, a little bit healthier, and Debo before he gained all the weight, and Brandon Ayuk, maybe I'd have a different conversation, and the great offensive line, maybe I'd say something different. But right now, they don't, especially, I assume Pearsall is going to be back, but he's not exactly one of the better number one receivers in the NFL. And Jawan Jennings is okay. But I think, the horses that Vic have will be able to shut those guys down. Now, you have a problem with Kittle. Kittle's still very good. And McCaffrey, look, I guarantee you that's the guy they'll be game planning for. And they'll do everything to stop him.
Hey, John, I'll tell you this, though, man. When I was watching Deebo Samuel out there, you remember that movie, The Wizard of Oz, and those Oompa Loompas? Boy, I'll tell you what, man, that guy's put a couple LBs on, hadn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he can still make a play.
He
he
did,
can
man,
still
but
do
man,
some things.
He's a heavy guy now, man. That guy don't look like the same dude out there.
No, he doesn't. And, this 49ers team, look, I saw Fred Warner climbing up walls the other day. He seems close, but obviously, you need time to heal from those types of injuries. They're just, I just think they're too banged up on the defensive
they're talking,
side.
John, for Fred Warner, if they were able to somehow get to the NFC Championship game, they would try to potentially put him in there, but that's weeks away.
Yeah. And a couple other linebackers got hurt. But also to your point about Seattle, Zander, Seattle plays a very cautious style, just like the Eagles do. A little bit different, not the same stylistically because they have a different style of quarterback. But they try to run the football, and they try to obviously keep Sam away from turning it over. So they don't exactly try to turn it on either. And that defense, I remember we were talking, well, how are you going to match up with that 49ers and Bears offense? Hey, man, that 49ers offense didn't look like that 49ers offense with the Seattle defense out there.
No,
I think it'll be the same thing with the Eagles.
I agree. Now, the Seahawks able to put up 13 points. How many will the Eagles be able to put up, John? Who do you think's a better offense, John, the Seahawks or the Eagles?
That's a good question. I think the Eagles are probably a little bit more difficult to deal with because they're more well-rounded. But the Seahawks are more explosive because they have the high volume passers, so they're more explosive. But again, you are the guys, not me. AJ, Devontae, Dallas, Saquon. I mean, they still exist, and you got to pay attention to them all.
Yeah, Kevin Patullo, he inspires more confidence in you than me nowadays, John.
I'll tell you this, John. I'll tell you in this matchup on Saturday, though, boy, you look at McCaffrey's year, 1202 rushing.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
100 catches he had this year for 924. I mean, holy cow, this guy had 2,100 total yards from scrimmage.
Well, hey, Sills, I got shit on because I said Barkley's the best running back in football and nobody's close. And then Saquon, then he got hurt and Saquon ran for 2,000 yards. So all the Eagles fans attacked me. And I said, yeah, you guys don't get it, man.
That guy's special.
Yeah.
He's a special player.
Yeah.
I think the guy down in Atlanta's kind of taking the role from him, but he's there right there too as he's a special player.
Well, so is Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs to me is the guy now, but
Yep.
Gibbs is the toughest matchup. But and by the way, I'm not even joking. I think Atlanta is better than Carolina pretty significantly, and they just fired their coach. And they just fired.
I'm pretty sure the owner agrees with you. He just fired the coach and
the GM.
John, I think the Saints and the Falcons were better.
I think the Saints and the Falcons. I think the Vikings are better than the Packers. I think the Lions are better than the 49ers. I'm not even joking when I say this. I don't think the best teams are in the playoffs, but that's how it shook out. And I think it's shook out well for the Philadelphia Eagles, even though
John,
they should have won this game and they should have got the number 2 seed. I think it has shaken out very well for the Philadelphia Eagles.
John, you sound like a man that thinks the Philadelphia Eagles will be in Santa Clara in a month.
Well, I don't know if they can beat Seattle in Seattle. See, that is a tough place to play.
I'm with you, John.
I don't think Seattle's offense is doing shit to Vic.
Yeah, but I think he dismissed going
They
up
scored
there.
13 points for Robert Saleh.
Okay, well, who's your offense? I mean, you're making it sound like
That game's going to be 6-3.
Time offense. I mean, you don't have.
No matter how many times there is no transitive theory in the NFL. That's why San Francisco can score 40 1 week and 3 the next. That's why Seattle scored much more than 13 points. Every game has a personality. Because you scored 13 points in one game doesn't mean you're going to score 13 points in another game. Maybe you score less, but maybe you score a hell of a lot more. There is no transitive theory. There is no guarantee because you had one good defensive outing, you're going to have another one. Or you had one bad offensive outing, you're going to have another one. The people that want to go, oh, well, they scored this against this team. Look, it doesn't matter. The Eagles, where the Eagles have the advantage, their core group has been through this. And so many of these teams are new to the process because, in Chicago's case, because they had the fourth place schedule and they're jumping up. In San Francisco, fourth place schedule jumping up. Carolina, fourth place schedule jumping up. These teams ain't ready for this, man. They ain't ready for the playoffs. Seattle's a little bit different because they were good. They got better. And again, I don't ever want to play in Seattle. Ever, ever, ever. When they have 10 wins, never mind 14 wins. And with that defense. So I'm not saying they could. But you know what? You hope, same as last year, somebody beats Seattle before you even have to go to Seattle.
Yeah, that might happen, man. It might happen. We got the Darnold Avengers here. John, you'll be happy to know Sileo has joined you on the Darnold Express.
Well, when you win,
I'm on the 28-6 Express. Yeah, I am.
When you win 14 games, 2 consecutive, I love these morons who are like, oh, this guy can. What you got teams that don't make the playoffs. You got teams that don't belong in the playoffs. You got teams that and you're telling me a guy who wins 14 games 2 consecutive years can't play?
It's not that he's not a good quarterback, John.
Okay.
He turns to a pumpkin in the biggest moments.
So you think Hurts is better than Darnold as a player with skill?
That's not what I said. I said he turns to a pumpkin in big moments. That's it. Until he proves otherwise, that's going to be the take.
Okay. Well, he corrected the take from last year.
That's true. In week 18.
What about when you play like a pumpkin and you win the Super Bowl, like Ben Roethlisberger or John Elway? And John Elway, I always joke about John Elway, one of the greatest players of all time when he was losing Super Bowls. When he was winning Super Bowls, he's at the end of his career on fumes, riding Terrell Davis to his Super Bowl glory, and nobody remembers. This garbage that, quarterbacks are responsible for winning and losing Super Bowls.
Hang on, John.
They can lose it for the turnovers.
Well, a running back can, if it's a 14-14 game and a running back fumbles, he could lose the game.
Yeah, well, that's football. John, do you think Darnold's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts?
It depends what style. If you're playing a different style, if you're playing a drop back, Kubiak Shanahan offense, yeah, he's a better quarterback. If you're playing the style, that's the beautiful thing about professional football and what makes coaches good. If you want to play a Shanahan Kubiak style of offense, you don't want Jalen Hurts. If you want to play a different style of offense, like the Eagles play, you may want Jalen Hurts. In other words, for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback. For the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold's a better quarterback. And then hopefully in the NFC Championship game, you go and play and you see who has the better team. If it goes that far.
John, what are your final thoughts, man, on the show today? Eagles lose the game, but they're ready to rock and roll for the postseason. Now they got the Niners coming to town.
Yeah, well, it's a results-based world. So, people are going to lose their mind because the Lions beat the Bears and the Eagles didn't take advantage of this situation by playing their starters. Nick said that. Nick gets it. But he made the decision beforehand to guarantee the one thing you can guarantee. So you can disagree with the decision, agree with the decision, but he made the decision. You live with it. I don't think it's about San Francisco. Look, if you're afraid to play in San Francisco, you're just afraid of the playoffs.
John, if you're afraid to play San Francisco, you're afraid of the dark.
I mean, in theory, you should be playing only good teams in the playoffs. I don't know if that's necessarily the case this year, but you're going to have to beat good teams to go to the Super Bowl at some point. So if that's San Francisco, you might as well start with San Francisco.
Sounds good. Johnny Mac, good show, brother. Appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you in the morning on Birds 365. Thank you, brother.
Thanks,
All
John.
right, see you guys. See ya.
Thanks, Matt. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us right here on the JAKIB Postgame Show. The Eagles lose the game today 24-17. They squander the chance at the number 2 seed after the Bears fell to the Lions. A lot of talk on Nick. Boy, I'll tell you what. John could retire from covering the Eagles and be a grade A politician almost instantly with that answer, Sills.
Well, we'll see how this plays out here. You finished up 11-6, 3-3 in the division. Your offense was up and down all year. Your defense got better. Stop me when you say I'm wrong here. And you're going into the playoffs having rested your players and giving up an opportunity to be in a 2-hole because you believed with your arrogance that the differences between San Francisco and Green Bay are not that big. So the Philadelphia Eagles at the end of the year, what they did was they said, I don't care if I'm the 2 or 3. We don't care if it's San Francisco or Green Bay. Well, you guys thought that you were going to beat the backup Washington Commander team. That was a flawed, obvious take by that organization. But again, you went down that lane, Zander. They're right. Health is more important than getting the win. That was more important than them to get the win. They didn't play their starters. Some of the guys they played. So how do they go into this game? Do they go in with momentum? I kind of think they're going in with half momentum. One side of the football's got it. The other side can't turn the ball over and really hasn't played that great all year. So
you think the Eagles are the better team right now than the 49ers?
I do.
Even with some of the concerns you've been talking about all year?
Yes.
I do too. I think they're the better team than the 49ers, for sure.
Between Green Bay and San Francisco, like I said, I think there's 3 teams.
Now, here's the
Rams and the Eagles.
I agree. Now, if the 49ers, last night did switch a little bit because if the 49ers were able to put up, let's say, 28 points on that defense, I think that would have been a tough test this week. But, obviously Seattle held them. And the rest is history. We'll see about what the future holds with those 2 teams matching up this weekend. Any indication Saturday, Sunday, does anybody seen yet? When will they release that? So?
I'm seeing more of Saturday afternoon, the late game.
That's what I'm seeing, dude. I'm looking at my weather.
Damn, what?
Now, I'm no weatherman, and weathermen are wrong more than children.
This is another hose job on the schedule.
The weather people are wrong more than Sills when it comes to the Eagles.
I'll tell you what, I haven't been wrong this year.
Yeah, that's what they all say. It's supposed to rain hard.
11-6, the guy would never throw for 4K. I said that you would sit there and not see your guys go into the playoffs with an offense that would be in the top 10. Your defense is right now ranked 13th, 14th. That's kind of where we said. I don't know. Jalen Hunt would have the most sacks of anybody on the team. I think I've been pretty good this year so far, my friend.
Sills, go ahead, do it with me.
No. I got a lot to make up for last year.
Give yourself a pat. Yeah. All right, brother. Good show, man. Your final thought. Eagles, Niners next week, and they lose the game today to the Commanders. They go 3-3 in the NFC East this year.
You know what, though, dude? I'll tell you. I think you're in a good hole right now. I think you're in a good place. I think you're in a good spot. I think you're sitting there right now, and I think you got an opportunity. You know what's really happened this year, Z? I think this year a lot of these other teams, they've actually played not really good football and consistent football as well. But the one thing that the Eagles have done, the one thing that I give them massive credit for, dude, they rarely lose shitty games. This was your backups, dude. The only problem I had with this game was your arrogance. You thought your backups were going to win a game against and they did. And they're NFL players too.
Yeah.
They showed up. They wanted to play. That was my only bitch taking away from this game was that you thought you were going to win this game with your backups and your backups didn't get it done. Okay. Again, but for me, Zander, I move on. This is San Francisco 49er week for me.
I'm with you. I'm good with them trying to keep everybody healthy, man.
I got it. I'm with you.
Part of it, but all right, so it's a good show, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, brother.
Got you, brother. Appreciate it, guys. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. We'll see you 2 to 6 on Monday.
Later, dude. There's my boy Big Sills, Dan Sileo, host of the National Football Show. What's going on, JAKIB Nation? It's playoff time, baby. You know what? I don't give a rat's ass about the game that ended 90 minutes ago. I don't give a royal crap. All right? Now, we can talk about it briefly, but I don't care. I don't care that we lost. I don't care that Nick rested the starters. I don't care that Tanner McKee threw a pick. I don't care. I don't care. It's time to make a dynasty. You don't make a dynasty by winning 12 games, by getting the number 2 seed, by winning 14 games. That's not how dynasties are made. Okay? It's now time, folks. It's time